I usually reserve the homemade bubbly for the end of my videos, but for today's video, I'm gonna have to start with some right now. And what's the reason? Because the topic of today's Curious Minds Want to Know is the modern day politician. Think about the modern day politician for a sec. What do you think?
That is one big pile of shit.
I couldn't agree more. And in today's video, we're going to discuss why I think the modern day politician is worse than ever before. When I think of a politician, I think of someone that doesn't answer questions.
Has the Prime Minister met with the Ethics Commissioner? And if so, how many times? Very, very simple.
I am pleased to work with the Ethics Commissioner and Conflict of Interest Commissioner to answer any questions she may have.
That dances around issues.
You'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy.
That's self-serving.
Please help me welcome to the Canada's Drag Race Workroom, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau! Do I have to curtsy? Do I have to kiss his ring?
Now, none of these things are really new to politicians. Like, this description can fit a politician from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So why do I think they suck today more than ever? And that's because of this. Technology. Who doesn't own one of these? A cell phone. How many of you are watching this very video right now on your device? In my research on doing this video, I found that 97% of Americans own a cell phone. Now, I'm sure that could be translated to almost the same number in Canadian data. What's the point of bringing up a cell phone or technology, you ask? With these cell phones comes cameras, audio recordings, video recordings. More than any other time in our history, an individual can collect more data than, say, a newspaper or a television news program. Let me take you a trip down memory lane. The first handheld cell phone was made in 1973 using a handset weighing 2 kilograms or 4.4 pounds. At first, it was definitely a luxury item. Now, it is ubiquitous and in everyone's hands. And with cameras on every cell phone, that means in today's day and age, you can catch anyone doing anything. And I mean, you can imagine if you had a cell phone 30 years ago, the things we could have captured. But now, again, I'm going to repeat, everyone's got one of these. Can people get away with stuff as they ever did before? So I submit to you that technology has helped mankind.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind.
Okay. I'm sorry. People kind. Technology has helped the individual collect data like never before. And I'm not just talking with direct videotaping or picture taking or audio recording. Again, this is about Google. This is about information gathering. We don't need to rely on anyone but ourselves to get data. And if you are of a certain age, you'll remember this, the encyclopedia. If you wanted to get some information on a particular subject, you ordered one of these babies. But now, don't worry about it. You got this, Google. I submit to you that technology is good. Look, it's like a hammer. A hammer can build you a house or fix things.
If you had a hammer, you could hammer in the basement. You could hammer in the kitchen, all over the house.
Or, if you put the hammer in the hands of Jason Voorhees, he could kill you.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
So, is the hammer good or evil? I would say that it's the user. Interchange the word hammer with social media. Is social media bad? I would say no. Social media ain't bad. It's the user. So can politicians get away with what they used to be able to get away with? The answer to that question is no. We can see things in a way we never have before. I mean, how many people would read newspapers back in the day or watch the 6 o'clock news as it was traditional? We would rely on those media outlets for a scandal or for lies or for anything to come to the surface. Now we have different avenues individually that can help us catch things. For example, watch this next clip of Justin Trudeau and see how well this has aged.
Registering your guns is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone. That's never going to happen because here in Canada we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need.
From today forward, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada.
You see how his narrative changes in such a short period of time? And every individual has access to that so easily. Look what I did. I'm just a regular Joe, and I found that off the internet. Let's take a look at another example of a lie that's caught by an everyday schmo like me.
And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, the bottom line, proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. And by mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated.
You see the pattern here? The thing that bothers me is either one, Justin Trudeau is oblivious to the fact that we Canadian citizens can see this easily, or two, he doesn't care. Option A or B, they both suck. Here's a few more examples of some things I dug up about Justin Trudeau and our Liberal government through simple Google searches, nothing more. In 2017, Trudeau was found guilty of violating many sections of the Federal Conflict of Interest Act by accepting private island vacations, gifts, and flights from Aga Khan, a philanthropist and spiritual leader of the Shia Islami religion. This was deemed significant as Aga Khan Foundation, a registered lobby, had received over $50 million of federal funding in 2016.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Less than 3 days after staying in power, with a minority government in the 2021 snap election, Trudeau flew to his favorite Vancouver Island vacation spot that September, instead of attending a ceremony on the first National Day to remember Indigenous residential school victims.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
In October 2022, Trudeau went bungee jumping on his day off. A day off is clearly not a bad thing, especially with such an important job to do, but Canadians were unhappy that the Prime Minister decided to take a day off during the Iranian protests that were going on, while parts of the eastern Canada were still grappling with the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona, and while the House of Commons debated the struggles for everyday Canadians. The timing and perception was terrible.
Fuck.
And then there's the most recent example of Trudeau when he went to his vacation to Jamaica. He and his security staff enjoyed a 10-day holiday to a waterfront villa, coming in at about $160,000. Now, Trudeau says he received approval from the Ethics Commissioner and reimbursed the commercial value of his flight down with his family.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Folks, I am not saying that you shouldn't go on holidays, that you shouldn't take a day off to go bungee jumping. But can you have better judgment in today's day and age? Perhaps it's unfair, because the politician of 30 years ago, before phones, cell phones, before the internet, you can get away with this type of stuff, or at least get away with it a little easier. But today, all eyes are watching you. You have an important job, show better judgment. And speaking of better judgment, what about these little quick snippets of examples?
I was put on this planet to do this. This is I fight and I win. It's what I'm good at. No, Monsieur Grave.
Okay, perhaps young, dumb, and full of testosterone. So with that, here's a few more young, dumb, and full of testosterone moments. Weigh in for a boxing match. I'm secretly Superman. I can do yoga. I can plank. Remember his trip to India? I don't even know what this is. We all certainly know what this is. How about those professional mistakes by our Prime Minister?
We may live in British Columbia, Yukon, the Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nunavut, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland and Labrador.
I will remember you.
And Trudeau says he loves Alberta.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
And it's not just the Chinese dictatorship that Trudeau admires. Have a read of what Justin Trudeau said when Fidel Castro passed away.
Right.
And again, on the sillier side of things, if you're going to believe in something so much, don't stutter on your words so badly.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles, sort of things.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2+.
Hard to convince anyone with all these blunders that we can look at. And then there's the more serious stuff, like the SNC Lavalin scandal, Jody Wilson-Raybould, Jane Philpott. Thinking that rules just don't apply to you when in the House of Commons, when eating is a strict no-no, somebody got caught eating a chocolate bar.
Order. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I apologize. It was a chocolate bar, but I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And now the internet will never let us forget Elbowgate, where Justin Trudeau inadvertently elbowed New Democrat MP Ruth Ellen Boussois in the chest.
Silence perched up there, the elbow. He got it. He nailed him. He got it.
Seems like I can go on forever with our Prime Minister. That's how much material there is out there. I'll just end it with the antics during Queen Elizabeth's death, where Trudeau spent $6,000 a night to stay in the UK, which is bad enough, but then he was caught on his cell phone camera doing this. And before I go any further with my explanation in this video, I just want to say that most of what I'm talking about is behavioral. Again, we're assuming that most politicians are not quite on the level and not as honest as we'd like them to be. This is not on policy. If this was on policy, that's another 10-part series video. It's at this time I'm just going to stop for a quick second. Can you please press that like button and subscribe? It would really help me out quite a bit and the channel. Appreciate it. And now I ask you, what do you think? Why do you think modern politicians stink? I say modern politicians stink, especially Trudeau and the Liberal Party, because times have changed and you haven't. Maybe it's unfair. You can get away with things that you've done 30 years ago, let's say, or at least most of the stuff you've done. But now you can't, because all eyes are watching. I'd even argue you've become even more brazen in your approach to things. You have a do as I say, don't do as I do approach to things, and you don't seem to care about all the eyes that are watching you. What do they say? Expect the worst and hope for the best. I know I am. Is it 2025 yet? Chin chin. Have a great day, everybody, and salute.